it. Okay, the recording is on now. Can you see the screen with this PDF file?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I wonder what happened. Diana is taking time to.
Not somewhere.
You had no difficulty, right, to log in with the link that I shared?
Second time. I have to log out and then log in.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. Are you having trouble coming in?
Yeah, because I'm using my iPad mini and it's not registering.
Okay, I'll send you another link. I'll send you a direct link, not the shortcut. That'll work better.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I think that shortcut link didn't work on her iPad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so now let me see participants. I think I have participants. Invite. Copy invite link. Okay, I copied the invite link. Now send it to her in the group. So I hope this link will work for her. The other time I gave the shortcut, bit.ly, Dina-Zoom, that's a shortcut.
Oh, yeah, sometimes I have to log twice.
Shortcut will point to this long one. This one is so long we cannot remember it. So anyway,
Why is it always it phrase
oh, okay. Actually, it's not only 8. That is the meter. Okay. In Sanskrit, it is called chanda. And the chanda, there are many different types of chandas. It's there are some 8. This one with 8 on every line is the simplest form of Sanskrit poetry. Therefore, most of the prayers, I think it must be the same in Buddhist prayers also, most of them will be with 8 on every line because that's the simplest form of Sanskrit poetry. Then you have some others more complicated. Some are like 1 line 10, next line 11, then next line 10, next line 11, Some are like that. Then another one that is very common is 11 on every line, 12 on every line, and then 14 on every line, some 17, some 19. One of ours here is 20, is it 21? You see this one here? Can you see my page?
Yeah.
Okay, this first verse, this is 8, 8, 8, 8. Then here again, 8, 8, 8, 8. But this one, it looks like 8 lines here, right? It's actually 4 long lines. And each long line has, I think, 21. You want to count? See? 1, that is 1, de, 2, 3, Sri, 4, Gu, 5, Ro, 6, Shri, 7, Yu, 8, Ta, 9, Pa, 10, Da, 11. Ka, 12. Ma, 13. Lam, 14. Shri, 15. Gu, 16. Ru, 17. Vai, 18. Shna, 19. Va, 20. Mscha, 21. So each of these has got 21, 21, 21, 21. And actually, I do not know what the tune, which tune will fit this 21. They say,
dash,
yes.
there's a dash there. The second line begins with a dash.
Please repeat that second line.
Second line, the first is begin with a dash.
Oh, no, these two are one line.
Oh, that means that it is a one line.
Yeah, this is one line, this one. That's why I counted from here up to here is 21 syllables.
That means that this dash is one line.
No, this dash is part of this word, just like this, it's hyphen. Imagine this is one line. I got no place because it's so long, right?
Oh yeah, but how do you know that it's one line? I can't.
You won't know. If you see it in Sanskrit, you can know. Because in Sanskrit, they will always write it in 4 lines only. Sanskrit is very, very compact, you know. Let me see. In my book, it may be there. This is my book.
Also, some in Chinese,
Yes.
the poem.
Yes.
So some are 5 words, 7 words. So something like that. There are 4 words.
Yes, yes. And it matches according to the mood that you want to convey, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that means the rules of Sanskrit poetry are very strict. Not only the number of syllables, but even the position where the long syllables appear. There are rules that govern that. So we are looking at the end product, but these things, there are people like this is, Bhagavad Gita, God is speaking. So God is, you're not a human being. He can just immediately speak in poetry. But when ordinary human beings want to write Sanskrit poetry, the traditional way, because there are those who can compose spontaneously, but the traditional way, even with Tamil classical poetry, is first they decide which meter they want to use, right? Then next, for each line, they put the marks in first where all the 7s are. Then they compose the poetry, adjusting the grammar so that the long syllables will fit in the right place. So then the meter will be so perfect. Our English poetry, we don't have any such rules like that, And I'm sure that the classical Chinese poetry also, they must have a lot of rules that govern how you use the words,
The sound basically.
Yeah. So Dhyana Mataji, we were waiting for you. You are here. Can you hear?
Krishna, yes. Yes.
Very good. So she was asking just now about this, why 8 on every line? So I said, no, it's not always 8. Sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 11. But in Bhagavad Gita book, only 2 meters are used. They're the simplest 2. And the simplest 2 are 8 and 11. They're most common. So this one, this verse, this Vandeham, is actually, looks very long, but each one is, these 2 lines make up 1 line. And each line from here, from Vande up to Cha, is 21 syllables. And from Sri Rupam up to Jivam is again 21. And from Sadvaitam up to Devam, again 21. And from here, Sri up to here is 21. So in Devanagari, it will be written clearly in 4 lines. Here it's so long in the Romanized, so long, so I had to put it into 2, otherwise the font size would be too small. I don't have the sample of the Devanagari here. Well, it's something like this. This is what the Devanagari is. This one is in 2 lines, but what you have here is in 4 lines, right? Because here, traditionally, the simplest one is written with 16 syllables on this line and 16 syllables on this line. So it's very long, but because it's 16, right? 16, 16, there are rules that govern how you can split it here after counting 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay, this one is a unique one. There are a few, exceptions to the rule. Like this one, there is 9 on this line. But very rare. I think in the whole Bhagavad Gita, maybe about less than 10 cases where you may have 9 syllables on one line. And in my book, I have actually marked them out in red. This is the slide version, but in my book, whenever the meter changes, or when there's, excuse me 1 minute. Huh? Hi, Andrew.
Hi, bro. How are you? Good afternoon.
Fine, thank you. I wanted to come and see you this morning, but I had a bit of problem with my printer. I wanted to print out that letter before I brought it to you.
Okay.
But listen,
okay,
Andrew,
fine.
I'm in the middle of a class right now. I'm online with my students.
Okay, can. Okay, can. Catch up with you later.
Yes, okay.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Thanks. Bye. Sorry for that interruption. Yes, so like here you see, this is a slideshow format. It's not my actual book. If I open the book, I think it will be too heavy. But here, like you see, I tell the meter. This one's meter is 19, this verse. This one's meter is 8. This is 8. This one is 11. This one is 8. Do you see? Hello, are you both there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. It's September. I cannot hear you. Is there something wrong with your mic?
Meter.
Yes. This verse has 11 syllables in the real. Actually, each meter has an, and you know, there may be 2 or 3 or maybe 4, I don't know, different chandas, different meters with also 11 syllables on each line. There will be variations within where these long ones are placed, you know. So there are different types of scholars of Sanskrit whom I have had the chance to interact with. They say that this topic of chanda is the most difficult part of Sanskrit to learn. You know? So how I figured it out is that just by counting the vowels here, let's count. You see this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if I know it's 11, then what I've done is I've memorized sample verses. So if I know a tune with 11 that matches this, every morning we sing this prayer. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. See, that's 11. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. See, 11. So then I use that same tune. Namo Astute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Ullaravindaya Tapatranetra. So like that we can memorize, and then, but this is not the correct way that chanda is supposed to be done. Chanda is always chanting, and it's very much more complex. But this is a very simplified way that I did just to sing it like a bhajan. And as I said, I believe all Sanskrit students always begin by learning Bhagavad Gita, because the verses in Bhagavad Gita are a very simple form of Sanskrit. So it's better to start with simple rather than difficult. So now let us begin with our prayers. If you like, I've got it on the screen here in this format, but you can look at your workbook on, I think we'll use the workbook format better. Okay, here, because now you know all these obliques are the long ones, right? I'll make it bigger. We'll pray from here, and I'll ask you to, maybe you can do one more thing, since now you're a little bit familiar. There's a funny echo coming in. Anyway, whenever it's a long one, please just clap. If it's a long one, okay? So let us pray. I'll say Om 3 times, and then Adhnana. You may join me if you can. Om. Om. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitam. I will skip ahead. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Please try to say and clap with this. This is a very easy mantra to do. Re and Ra along. Hare
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 Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Jai Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra Prabhu Ki Jai. O all attractive Supreme Lord Krishna, O all pleasing personality of Godhead Rama, kindly keep me engaged always in your transcendental loving service. Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Mahamantra Yuga Dharma Ki Jai. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Gaur Premananda. So I'm just thinking now how to go to this very important part of our lesson, where I'm going to teach you how to memorize two tables. And because I think the easiest way is if I share my screen and play you the video which I have already online, but I may pause it in between so that I can clarify with you anything that needs to be done. And I need you to try. And the first time you do it, we'll do each table 2 times. When you practice later on your own, I request you also, every time do a table, do it 2 times, right? Both times the table must be done blank table. The blank table is more important than the filled up table. Just remember that fact. You'll do each table 2 times. There are 2 tables. Each table has to be done 2 times. Always do it blank both times. Then after you've done 2, choose which one is more ugly, the one you don't like, and the ugly one, you fill it up with something. I'll tell you what that something is as we go along. So can we do it that way? I'll share the video online, and then anytime you want, pause me to clarify so that you can just do the exercise. It can be done quite fast if you become like a kindergarten child, and whatever teacher says, you just do. Okay, it's a very simple, copy this diagram. That's all. Don't need to understand anything. All the understanding and all will come later. First, you just copy and copy until you can reproduce it like a parrot. Okay?
Okay.
Can I go ahead? I'll share the screen. So I'll stop this. Then I'll share. How do I do it? Yeah. Let me share the particular. Okay, let's save this one. Okay, I'm sharing only one window. Can you see this particular window? Is it showing to you both?
Yes, it says Sri Chaitanya Charita.
I'll change that now. Vimeo.com/group/Sanskrit. Vimeo is like YouTube. Vimeo.com/group/Sanskrit. That is where my Sanskrit videos are. This is the one I made today for all of you. Dhyana Mataji, did you have a chance to go through this video today?
Yes, it was very helpful.
Oh, thank you. Our September also said the same thing just now. Because I know, normally when I teach it in the classroom, everyone gets it. But here, because of the distance, I realized that I have to do it like this. Then it makes, otherwise, so many words and you don't have a picture in your mind.
Yeah, indeed, it's very clear. It's very
Okay, good. So now I hope that this will also be clear. I've never used this before to teach 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will, in a sense, actually, this is like supposed to do this first, then do this, but I don't want to. I'll do that last because I don't want you to worry. At this moment, I don't want you to think about understanding. I just want you to think about copying. Okay? Just like when you're a child, when you learn ABC, you don't know what you're saying, true or not? Do you agree that when you learned ABC as a child, you had no idea what you were saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that, I want you to, don't worry about anything. I just want you to memorize this table, blank table, okay, by copying it. So you only need to pay attention to the sequence. I think there are 6 or 7 steps or something like that in each of the 2 tables, but it's very simple. Okay, so anyway, here we'll let the video play. We'll explain what diacritics are. Diacritics, all these little marks. I hope the sound will be clear to you. Can you hear the sound?
Hare Krishna. Welcome to a lesson on Sanskrit pronunciation.
Could you hear that recording just now? I paused it now. Could you hear?
Yes, I can hear it.
Okay, very good. So I'll continue. How many? This very short videos. I think this is only 4 minutes. Okay, let it go. You have your pen and paper ready, please.
My dear friend, His Grace Vaishnav Devadas Prabhu, who inquired very sincerely to know what the diacritics in Romanized Sanskrit actually mean. So, what are diacritics? Simple answer is this. In English, we have only one S. In Sanskrit, we have 3 S's. How do we tell them apart? We write S-A sa for normal S. We write S with a mark above for sha, as in shanti. And we write S with a mark below for sha, as in Purusha. So this is pure as sa, like simple or Surya. This is sha with the mark on top, where you push your tongue up as high as possible and make the hole very small where the air comes out, like the famous name Shanti. And when the dot is below, pull your tongue down and make the hole in your mouth as big as possible. So the air becomes very heavy, like in O, Ro, Sha, Sha, Sha. This is Sha, Sha, like hissing, small holes. Sha. And this is with no hiss at all, just Sa. Okay, so these diacritics, this mark on top of it is called the diacritic, this dot below is called diacritic. Why do we use diacritic? Very simple.
I pause there. Could you follow so far?
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay, so you understand what diacritics are, right?
Yeah.
Can you guess the next part? Can you guess why must we use this diacritic? Why must we add in diacritics?
It's a sound pronunciation.
Okay, that's not very, it's okay, but it's not perfect. Any other, September, can you try?
Well, it's kind of to make emotion.
Emotion, did you say?
Yes.
No. Actually, it's a very simple thing. You see, in Sanskrit, every alphabet has a fixed pronunciation. So there is not like English. English dictionary, you need to show where's the stress. There are so many unknown things in English, you know, how to pronounce, where to stress and so on. You don't have that problem in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, you stress all the long ones and your tongue position is defined for each one. So the truth is, it's a simple thing. We don't have enough alphabets. So by adding in diacritics, you increase the number of alphabets. For example, just now, 1 S in English, correct? 3 S's in Sanskrit. So do you see, by adding in 1 dot above and 1 dot below, we increase the number of alphabets. No, it's as simple as that. Okay, got it? It's clear?
Yeah.
Okay, the video will continue on that point now.
Simply to increase the number of alphabets, because we don't have enough alphabets in English to represent the full spectrum of Sanskrit sounds. What happens is, because we don't understand what these diacritics are, our mind always automatically deletes them. Our mind automatically deletes it because when we don't understand what it is, we just get rid of it. So when I ask my friends in the class to write the word Shesha as in Ananta Shesha, to see whether they know where the diacritics go, I get all kinds of permutations and variations. Somebody writes like that, somebody writes like that, somebody writes like whatever. But the correct one is this. The fact that people get all variations of wrong ones means they are not able to actually pay attention to know where the diacritics go. It's because they don't understand what it is, therefore they ignore it. But now you know.
Okay, I pause there. This is a common word amongst Hindu people. They say Shesha. But when you ask them to write it, they write and then they just hantam. Put these dots here and there. For example, Dhyana Mataji, supposing I asked you to write, would you have known exactly where to put the marks? You know this word, right? Ananta Shesha.
Yeah, but I don't know where to put the dots.
Yes, exactly. So the reason you don't know where to put the dots is your mind has been deleting those dots. Because you see S-E-S-A, you only see the English part. You don't see these dots which convert it from English into Sanskrit. And when your mind doesn't understand it, you don't make a note of it. You just see S-E-S-A. But it's not. Which S? There are 3 types of S here. You get my point? So after doing this written exercises, within about 2 weeks from now, you'll find that automatically you suddenly start seeing only these marks. You won't see anything else. You'll just see these marks. I remember a classic example, one retired Malaysian police officer, inspector actually, she's living in New Zealand now. And she had attended my Sanskrit class 2 times, right? And the first time I taught it the traditional way without the 2 tables that I'm going to teach you now. Just, I wrote it on the board, asked them to copy. And it never worked. That one used to only maybe 1 out of 10 students would get it, Then Padma Sambhava taught me how to use accelerated learning. He said, you're teaching it in the wrong way. You must teach the pattern first. So after that, I think 6 months later, I went to New Zealand. Again, she joined my class, the same lady. And this time I taught her using accelerated learning. I made her memorize this table first. And after that, after she learned it the new way, the following Sunday, when I went to the Hare Krishna temple in Auckland, she came running up to me, holding my Bhagavad Gita book in my hand. And she's telling me, Dina Prabhu, now when I read this book, I only see diacritics. I swear to you, they were not there before. So do you get my point? My point is that when you don't understand what it is, your eyes, your mind deletes it. You don't even see it. Can you comment on that? Anything?
Very true. I didn't actually notice earlier because now it's like you train your brain just to scan through things. It's like you think about a certain thing that you want, and then suddenly you see it everywhere.
Yes.
It's
And
training.
I've also given you the reason why it is needed now. So now you try and explain back to me what were the reasons I gave for this thing in your own words. You can look at what's on the screen. Did you remember I said something about where to put your tongue in connection with the S?
The upper dots would be your tongue on top, and the lower dot is where at the bottom. Yes, that's right.
Yes. So see, now you're physically connecting that dot to a tongue movement you have to make. So now that dot is more meaningful to you. You understand what you're supposed to do with it. And you also know the why. Why are they using these dots? Because the number of alphabets is not enough. We have only 26 alphabets in English. Do you know how many alphabets are there in Sanskrit? I think 482.
Sorry, how many?
About 482. Do you want to walk out of the class?
Wow.
You may leave. And that's why all these Sanskrit teachers, first you must learn these 480 alphabets, then I'll teach you pronunciation. By that time, sudah tua lah. But with our method, no need to learn anything. You just directly get the pronunciation.
Oh.
You know how? Out of these 26 alphabets, okay, 3 or 4 of them we never use. In Sanskrit, we never use F, we never use X, we never use Q. So the number is getting less and less, right? But we add in a few, like a dot on top of the N, or dot underneath the N, or a mark on top of the S, a mark under the S, or a line on top of the A, correct? So by adding in these, we make the total number, if I remember correctly, 33. Okay, that means about 26 is our normal English, minus about 4 letters, maybe 22 plus 11 with the diacritics. 11 is not a big number. There are only about 11 letters, I think, 11 or 12 with diacritics on them. And that 33 alphabets, we can write the whole Mahabharata. But if you use Devanagari, 480 basic characters, to write Mahabharata, you have to use 10,000 different characters. Can you see the difference? You have to recognize 10,000 different characters, because out of those 480, when you join and join, you take half of this one and half of this one and you join, you get a new one. And the new one doesn't look like the original one. But with this Romanized one, we always have combination. You see, sa in Sanskrit is 1 character, but here we use 2 characters. We use an S and an A. Therefore, when we have to split it, we don't disfigure the S. The S is still identifiable when it's alone or when it's with the next letter. So by this type of intelligent combination, without increasing the number of alphabets, with 33 alphabets alone, we can cover the full spectrum of Sanskrit sound. Therefore, I say that this Romanized Sanskrit is actually superior to Devanagari. And most Sanskrit professors get very angry the moment I say that. But that's because they are attached to that particular script and they don't know They don't understand this script. You know, if I can touch my nose like this, can you see my video? Can you see how I'm touching my nose? You know what's the next step, right? Like this, I want to touch my nose like this. So difficult, right? So if I can read Sanskrit with 33 alphabets just like that, and I already know 24 of them or 22 of them, right? I'm just adding in some dots. It's still an S word, sa, sha, sha, right? So this is far superior. And I have a certificate from a Sanskrit professor. He mentions there that the Sanskrit grammar teaches you, we have 10 minutes. Sanskrit grammar teaches you that you can write Sanskrit with any lipi. Lipi means script. You can write it with triangles and circles if you want. As long as there is no ambiguity, no duplication, one symbol must represent one sound. So it doesn't matter which symbols you use. Then, because that symbol doesn't contain the sound, that symbol reminds you what is the sound. Something like in Chinese also, pictogram. You see the picture and then it triggers your memory. And then you connect it with the sound, because sound comes only from the movement of your tongue and your breath. Your tongue, your mouth movement, your breath. That's how you produce sounds. So if I want to say, make a small square here and say that that square represents this sound, sha. So finish. Now I cannot use that square for some other sound if I want to make my own new alphabet, you know. So it's like, oh, by the way, yesterday I saw a video biography of Srila Prabhupada's guru, and it mentions there that he had created his own alphabet when he was a child and used it for some time. Then after a while, he stopped using it. So I would be fascinated to see what he had created. But that's just a mental note. Okay, so now we are going to increase the number of alphabets. I'll let the video continue. Any questions or comments?
Not at the moment, thanks.
Is it only S with all those combinations?
No. You will be learning all of them now, but you have the idea that we are increasing the number of alphabets by decorating them with something above or something below, like that. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll continue now.
Like you can correlate it to, if you know some Indian language, then you have three types of S in Hindi and in Sanskrit. Sa, it's one character. Sha is another character, and Sha is yet another character. In Sanskrit, all those three characters look very different from each other. But in Romanized, they all look like S. You just have to modify it by knowing when you see the mark on top, you put your tongue up. You see the dot below, you put your tongue down.
Okay, I just reinforced that point. These three, they look so similar, correct? In Romanized? Do you agree? They all look the same? But if you write them in Sanskrit, in Devanagari, they look very, very different. So that makes it even more difficult to remember it in Sanskrit. You know, and one of them, this one, it looks very similar to the letter for ma, only the leg is a little bit different. One leg is a bit different. So you have that visual problem also in Sanskrit to recognize, you know, whereas in the Romanized one, it's so easy, so much more easy. So you'll find that people who learn this system, within 2 or 3 weeks, they'll be able to chant better than people who know how to read Devanagari. It's a fact, because it's so simple, you know, especially when it comes to new verses. If I put a new verse in front of somebody who has Devanagari, he has to use a magnifying glass and see, because they even reduce the size of the Devanagari when they join them together. I think it's, I'll continue the video now.
So the big question is, how many diacritics? Are there very many? Actually, there are not many. And here today we will teach
please
you.
Follow along. Take your pen and paper.
Tables. And today we will teach you 2 very simple tables. With these tables, if you learn to draw them in this particular sequence, you'll be able to imprint the position of the diacritics in your mind very firmly.
I just repeat, oops.
Hare Krishna.
I just repeat, the sequence is what you have to memorize. Huh? So please remember the sequence and do it exactly the same way as I'm doing on. You have your pen and paper. You're doing it right, both of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to a lesson on Sanskrit pronunciation, inspired by my dear friend, His Grace Vaishnav Sevadas Prabhu, who inquired very sincerely to know what the diacritics tell them about.
The same video. Sorry,
We write
I need to go to the next video.
Sa.
Can we just? Okay. Time check. Because within 5 minutes this will cut off. Is there a chance that either both of you can you give 5 or 10 minutes extra today?
Yeah.
Beyond
Okay.
4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. September, it's okay with you also?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
time?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. So then can I request you, let's log off and then log on again so that we don't have this cut off halfway.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.